Alabama just picked up another commitment.
You are Locked On Bama, your daily podcast on the Alabama Crimson Tide. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
I'm Luke Robinson. That's Alabama internet legend Jimmy Stein. This is Locked On Bama. And Ty Phillips literally just now, committed to Alabama. So good news for the Crimson Tide. I mean, if you've been listening to this show, it's certainly not a surprise. But honestly, I'll say it like it is. If you've been listening to any show, it's not a surprise because everybody knew Ty Phillips was probably headed to Alabama. It is a big pickup nonetheless.
Yeah, I'm a huge Ty Phillips fan. It came way before it was known that Alabama was going to be the ultimate landing spot for him. Nothing at all against Alabama's other running back commitment, Nigel Newkirk, who I do like, who I'm very happy Alabama got and is a top 10 running back nationally, ranked number 6 in the country by Rivals. I know Ty Phillips is ranked way back. I like Ty Phillips as much or more than Nigel Newkirk as a prospect myself. I've not been shy about sharing that. Again, nothing against Nigel. I just think a lot of Ty Phillips. I in terms of why he's ranked, where he's ranked, I have guesses. I think the move from North Carolina to South Carolina, you get kind of lost in the shuffle a little bit rankings-wise. I think maybe his size is possibly got a little to do with it. He's not small. He's just not a big guy. Listed at, around 5'11", 190. He was injured during half of his junior year. I think that may have dinged him a little bit in the evaluation process. But I love this kid. He's a take for me in any Alabama class anytime because he's got measurables. He's got verified sub 4.40, verified, not self-reported. He was the fastest running back I've been aware of at any verified camp in the country this year. To my knowledge, he's the fastest one. And you're like, well, okay, so he's fast. Can he play? He's averaged over 10 yards a carry as a sophomore and a junior year combined. So you got the production and the measurables, and he's a great kid. I don't understand why I don't have more offers, and I don't care. It's kind of like what we said about Lottie Brooks last year, Luke. Remember when Lottie Brooks was a 3-star? Me and you were telling people, we don't care where Lottie Brooks is ranked or what his stars are. We love this guy. That's what I'm saying about Ty Phillips. Not comparing him necessarily to Lottie. Just saying, I don't care what his stars are. I'd take this kid anytime, anywhere, and I'm excited that Alabama's adding him in addition to Nigel Newkirk, who is clearly a good prospect, or he wouldn't be ranked 6th in the nation by Rivals.
Yeah, my understanding, it looks like that Nigel Newkirk is more of a like all-around back, maybe a little bit better blocker.
Yeah,
maybe a little bit better receiver. But,
polished, yeah.
Yeah, but Ty Phillips, I think, has the more big play potential.
Yeah, raw ability. He's a home run threat. One thing I like about Ty, you can have the ball at your own 1-yard line, and you got 99 yards to go, and you call a run play. You might be the band might be playing the touchdown song 99 yards the other way. I mean, he can house it from anywhere. He'll be one of the faster players Alabama has on the team the day he shows up. And that's really more of a wide receiver thing, right? Sometimes maybe DBs. Pretty unusual that a running back has this track type speed that he's got. I mean, put it this way. I love EJ Crowell. We all do. He's faster than Crowell. I mean, now Crowell's a bigger kid and the more polished back that almost everyone's gonna bet on. But Ty Phillips is outstanding. His ranking does not bother me in the least. I'm sure his ranking's also going to go up from listening to some of the ranking guys talk about him. And everyone needs to remember rankings are going to be updated dozens of times with all three, counting all 3 services between now and February. Rankings will be updated a lot. No one's going to remember what he was ranked in June. They'll only remember what he was ranked at the end. And it's going to be higher than this.
Yeah, I'm with you on that. I think that for whatever reason, people have been slow to know how good this cat is. So I think that he certainly will have a much higher ranking. Now, you have to think that'll do it for running backs, Jimmy.
Oh yeah, I'm certain. I think the plan all along was after they did the evaluations is they liked Nigel Newkirk and Trey Martin as the A-level back. Let's call it the A-level or tier 1 They like those two, but finances meant you're probably only getting one of the two. So whichever one of the two commits first, great. But we would like a second back, and we'd like it to be maybe a lesser ranked guy that we love. They just happen to find this guy, love him, and loved him to, I think, to the point of being equally in love with him as they are with Newkirk. Let's remember just a few months ago, Alabama took an elite back in E.J. Crowell and took a second back, the cheaper, less ranked kid. And what did that kid do this spring? He lit it up. He was buzzworthy. Trayshawn Brown had a fantastic spring. Maybe I'm guilty of this. People want to say, boy, he's just doing his homer thing. He's just way too excited. If that's the case, and it may be the case, it might be because I'm influenced by the fact of how good our, quote, second back did this previous spring. Trayshawn Brown was fantastic, beyond any reasonable expectation. And maybe I'm colored by that a little bit in terms of being so excited about this second back, because I really believe in this staff's ability to evaluate this type player.
Yeah, I'm with you on that. The other thing, if you look up his stats, that may be something else. I mean, you got to remember on a lot of these rankings, there's thousands of kids they have to rank, right?
Yep,
so
literally.
You a lot of times you might look at somebody and you go, okay, well, what is stats? I mean, you look at Ty Phillips, he doesn't even have 1,000 yards rushing. You're like, I'm not going to put him on there. Well, you don't even look at the fact that he missed his first 5 games of his high school
played half
season last year. So he played
half
7 games, averaged well over 100 yards. And obviously, if you missed his first 5 games, it may take you a game or two to hit your stride. So I think once you factor in all that, you realize that you're dealing with a pretty dynamic playmaker. Nobody is calling him a 5-star. Nobody is saying he's the best running back in this class. I am saying, though, this is a very, very nice pickup, especially when you couple it with Nigel Newkirk. And last year you had E.J. Crowell and you had Trayshawn. You've got 4 good young backs, and they each bring a little something different to the table.
Yeah, I like that. I'd ask you this also, another thing about the rankings that occurred to me. If I just ask you, Luke, your hometown school, the big one anyway, is Benjamin Russell there in Alexander City. If a kid, let's say from Georgia, who's a good player, moved to Alexander City this spring for spring semester, and he hasn't even played a game yet, would you expect that kid to be ranked among the top 10 prospects in Alabama? He's never played it. No.
Well, I mean, hey, I got an example. I mean, Malcolm Simmons.
Perfect.
Who now one of the services was on him pretty early because they knew about him from Georgia. But when he first moved back to Alabama, I think he was from Alex City originally, went to Georgia, comes back. When he first comes back, it's like people were sort of slow to figure it out because, again, you've been concentrating on the guys that you have here. So it may take you a minute, and you probably want to see him in person, and you probably want to see if the hype is real, who the competition is, all these things. So Malcolm Simmons certainly moved up the charts, I can tell you that.
So point being, Ty Phillips just moved to South Carolina, and he's barely ranked inside the top 20 prospects in South Carolina. Why? He hasn't played a game yet in the state. So that's what I mean by getting a little – when you move out of state, you can get a little lost in the shuffle. It's perfectly understandable just with that great Malcolm Simmons example right there. So I just know the blowback to this is just, boy, he's not ranked very high. But secondly, the guys that aren't ranked very high, you can also kind of shoehorn them in budget-wise a little easier too, right? Where you feel like you're getting great value for the cost and a great opportunity for Ty Phillips, who probably, I'm guessing, would have been at Virginia Tech if not for Alabama's significant interest. He had a great relationship with Coach G. Coach Gillespie, I think, was a massive factor here in the relationship that he's built with Ty. But I'm excited about this guy. I think this brings it to 9 commitments. 3 or 4 of them are pretty highly ranked guys. 3 or 4. 3 or 4 of them are not. A couple of them in particular, I'm sky high on. I don't care where they're ranked. And, the rest, soon we'll have what I'll call an explainer, give my take or my information plus my take on why I think this recruiting class is looking a little different from previous classes.
Now, one reason that a lot of people may not be super fired up about Ty Phillips is, number one, everybody's known where he's going for quite some time. I mean, It's not like this is I mean, I put breaking on. It's only breaking news because he officially announced it. I mean,
we live blocked him.
Yeah, we live blocked this
so far. We haven't missed.
Then the other thing is, and again, I'm bringing this up not to be a Debbie Downer. I don't want to be that, come off that way. But people are looking at some of the 5-star notes, or you're looking at KJ Green commits to LSU this weekend after he and Alabama pretty much break off communications. You have to assume for a discrepancy in what in each what they think that player's worth. And then you talk about some of the wide receivers. There was a great write-up on BOL today talking about what's going on with some of Alabama's recruiting and what is going on with Alabama in terms of some of the 5-star guys out there like Manshawn Sales and Osani Gales. Well, Gales and Sales, it looks like Alabama needs to hit on one of them.
I agree.
I'll tell you that because some of the other guys that are out there, it looks like Alabama's not going to be in, like Xavier Sabb, for instance. BOL had a good write-up about how it just doesn't look like he's going to end up at Alabama. It looks like he's going to end up at Oregon.
That was a two-way street, not a one-way street for anybody that gets confused. I think this is a combination of things. I don't think Alabama's quite as high on him as the recruiting services are. That doesn't mean he's not a take. It just means based on your ranking or based on how you're viewed as a prospect, you're going to have a certain price. I don't think Alabama views him in that light. And he was also not one of these brothers that's like hell-bent on playing with his brothers. I think he wants to do what he feels is best for himself. And Alabama feels like, hey, maybe this at that price point, this isn't a guy for us. Now, at the price point that others have at the same position, like Sales and Gales, I think Alabama is willing to meet it or come awfully close.
Yeah, and again, I guess it's not out of the question they get both of those guys, but
it's possible but unlikely is what I would call that.
Yeah, and I am seeing some of the comments, and there are some folks who are already like, this is going to be the lowest rated class of 20 years. You may be right.
Probably true. Probably true.
Right. But
probably true.
That doesn't mean, if you win the lottery and you win the 20th best lottery prize ever, yeah, there were 19 other teams better than you, but or 19 other lottery winners that won more, but it doesn't matter. My point is, this is going to be a smaller class. Mm-hmm. It's not going to be as highly rated because it is smaller. Because when you have a larger class, like last year's USC class had 30-something guys. Yeah. And see, the bad end of that spectrum gets sort of washed away because they only factor in like the top 20 players or whatever their formula is.
They signed 13 3-stars. That was the number one class. They 13 of them were factored in. And they weren't part of the equation that made them the number one class, but they have to sign 3 stars too, like Alabama has to, because the new rules sort of demand it, that to fill out your 105 is going to require a handful of lower rated ranked guys because they cost less, but you still have to fill out your 105. Y'all can do the math if you want. We are going to have math soon as part of our explainer as to what's going on here, but hey, this is a pretty simple concept math-wise. If you have $25 million to spend, it goes a lot further if you divide it about 65 ways as opposed to 105 ways. If you divide it up by 105 kids, you're not going to have enough to sign the 5-star type kids. You got to kind of limit who you're really spending on to about 60 guys.
So there is one particular player one particular commenter, I should say, that is like, it is what it is. We're not elite anymore. We got blown out 3 times last year. Yeah, we got blown out. We also made the playoffs. And so
we were finally top 8.
Everything is shifted. I know it's tough for me to get on board with it. It's tough for any of us. But I'm saying that you've got to shift your mindset too. Like, okay, yeah, we got blown out by Indiana. I didn't like it. Now, Indiana is the exception to the rule. Who else beat us last year, Jimmy? Florida State. Florida State was stinky. There's no other way to put it.
Yeah.
It was awful. We said
That was
it
a terrible
was awful.
loss. That was a terrible loss, but we were down by 7 with 7 minutes to play. It wasn't
Yeah,
like
and we
they beat us
made up
42-3.
for it. And we lost to Oklahoma at home, and that was stupid, and we shouldn't have lost to them at home 100%, but they didn't blow us out. Georgia blew us out in the SEC championship game because we walked in there. Our team bus was an ambulance. And we just come in and they dump us on the field, and then Georgia, who's a good team, beat the hell out of us. Okay.
Yeah. Georgia blew us out. There's reasons. I mean, Alabama, especially offensively, had a lot of health issues that night. That is not to diminish Georgia's performance or the fact that Georgia ran Alabama off the field. That final score was a bit misleading, frankly. I think they beat us a lot worse than the score indicated.
Sure.
Yeah, so you lost to Georgia and you lost to Indiana significantly. The loss to Oklahoma, they're a playoff team. You probably win the game if you make a very makeable field goal at the end of the first half. And the Florida State thing, we've gone over time and time again. And for those that just want to talk about those 4 losses, I get it. But you can't ignore the fact that the team finished 7-1 in the SEC, became the first Alabama team of all time to beat 4 ranked teams in 4 weeks. It's never happened before, not even in the Saban era. So don't completely flush the good because you're only focused on the bad, nor should you only focus on the good and not acknowledge the bad. That's who you are. You're both. But that said, Alabama was a top 8 team last year. I don't think it's going to look too different this year. It may look a little different. I don't think it'll look too different. And Alabama was a top 8 team one season ago.
And let's also do this. I mean, look, for years and years, I was doing a show that had some Auburn folks on it, and it felt like they were trying so hard to sell you on some of the guys they signed because they were like some 3-star in the middle of nowhere. And I don't want to come off that way. I don't want to. Okay. I'm just saying, let's see how this season goes with somebody like a Ty Phillips. Let's see. If Jimmy and I are right, he will end up being recognized for his talents, and he will end up appropriately ranked probably in the 4-star category.
I don't know that. I'll say this: if he's healthy, I bet he rushes for something like 2,000 yards.
And if he does that, he's not a 4-star. Somebody's screwing up.
I don't know where he'll be ranked. I don't care, but he's going to run for like 2,000 yards if he plays in every game and he's healthy.
And not only that, and again, it may sound like an excuse, but Lord help us all, we've got to be concerned on the transfer portal. So we've got, if you miss on something now, you may get a seasoned veteran in the transfer portal. You got to keep an eye on both things. Yeah. You can't just be awesome at high school or awesome at transfer portal. You better learn how to mix them both.
And again, soon we're gonna do an explainer, and I'm gonna literally have Luke with this idea. I have to explain. I'm gonna have Luke with a pen and paper, and we're literally gonna do some math here. And I'm gonna not now.
It's after business hours.
These are short live shows, but on the full show we'll have a segment or 2 full segments, and I'll explain my take based on information from inside the program and my own spin on how to explain it as to why this class is going to be smaller and probably not 5-star filled. There's a reason, and it's logical, but we'll go through it all.
All right. We wanted to chime in. We think it's a big deal. We hope you do too. We understand. Everybody wishes that every commitment would be Najee Harris, would be Julio Jones, would be Ryan Williams. This is a Ryan Williams podcast. I hope one day it's a Ty Phillips podcast.
Wouldn't that be something?
That would be
something. Real quick, I spent a lot of time at the baseball park and not forgot, but just hadn't had time yet. I wanted to acknowledge a few folks that reached out during all my time at the ballpark, particularly Philip, great meeting you. Jamie, who's been a friend for a long time, and his son Chase. It was really cool hanging out with them. Joel and Emily are huge fans of the show. They've reached out several times. They bought Luke stuff to Luke's office.
Yeah, they did
his father, daughter, great couple, and spent some time with them at the ballpark. Really cool seeing everybody reach out, and even you guys that just yell "Roll Tide" at me from across the way. Appreciate it, and thanks for supporting the show. Without you guys, there literally is no show. I know people say that, but that is literal. Without you guys watching the show all the time, there is no show. The only reason we have the show is because a lot of you watch it all the time. That's why we have the show. So thank you very much.
It is literal. It's also not literal because we did do a show before this one where we're not sure anybody listened or not because we had no way of knowing, keeping up with who listened. So
Yeah,
we may
only
have
know
been
this on
talking
the
into
live
the
shows.
void.
Only on the live shows do we actually know people are listening because we can count them. We can see them and count them. But
All right, so,
on the other shows, we do not.
And do us a favor, just hit subscribe
Yeah.
on the button. I mean, it does help. And
It helps.
Just do it. So, all right, that's going to do it. Until tomorrow, roll tide, everybody.
Roll Tide.